But I said, okay, Alex, because dossiero. So
So that means that something else is on. Okay.
You mean that ghost is?
Okay.
that's
This. Projector. And this, do you know what that is? Yeah. You tell those guys to come back.
Meeting adjourned.
Hello, hello, hello.
Okay. Can someone speak into the mic for me, please?
Hello.
Okay, thank you.
Test, test. Oh.
Testing.
Okay, can someone speak into the mic again?
Hello?
Okay, sorry. Let's give it one more test.
Test.
No, still.
Hey everyone, thank you for your patience. We're reaching out to IT now to figure out the echo situation. Thank you so much. Hey everyone, can I get another mic check, please? Thank you.
Mike is checking the mic. Gentlemen, I hope you're here to repair the.
I'm doing 3 cultural things in
All right, Michael, I gotta let you go. All right, everyone, thank you again for your patience. We're trying to figure this out. Anna, did you mute yourself?
The audio on my computer is not joined.
Hello, hello. Ooh. Hello, this is a mic check for the control room. This is a mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mic check. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. 9, 10. This is a mic check. This is. No, go back. Sorry, guys. All right. Hello, this is a mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
See that, this, because it's not picking up. You see, the last, when you said no, go back, that was the last thing it picked up.
Okay.
So something's happening where it picks up and then it doesn't pick up. Like when it starts to do, it's not picking it up. I'm just letting you know.
Okay. Maybe it's just like a slight delay too with like the captions.
I don't think so.
No.
I'm just letting you know.
Okay. Yeah. Hello. Test. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We hear the audio. It's very loud. No, it's less echoey. I'm just a little loud. But yeah. No, I don't hear an echo. I think I'm just loud. Do you want me to testing 1, 2, 3 here?
Testing. I got nothing here. Oh, wait. Hello?
Is this working?
Yeah, to speak normal.
Normal?
Normal.
It's just delayed.
Hello? The delay? I don't know. Is this fine? Everybody, are we okay with this?
We have to close our eyes and we can't look at the person talking.
Well, now we hear you and the.
No, it's just a little, you hear it in person and then half a second below. It is what it is.
As long as you can record it. I'm sure you'll be back.
Recording in progress.
Let's see what we can do. It's a little delayed. Pretend we're in an Italian movie. I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is a little funky. Okay. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting. No.
We need assistance. This isn't working. And the screen is not working either. If IT can come down again.
Microphone test. 1, 2. Microphone test.
Recording stopped.
Audio check. Audio check 2. Audio check 3.
Yeah. Just let him. Oh. Alex, that sounds good on our end.
Wolf,
Audio check 2, 3, 4. Audio check 5, 6.
Mr. Maxwell, do you want to try your microphone? It's not even. Hello? Hello? Promise, I'm already afraid. I'm not even on the audio.
None of them would be on, right?
Don't worry, we could share this one if it was.
Check audio 2, 3, 4.
You're so quick, people can't find you when they go for the inspection. I waited all day.
Well, I wasn't gonna bother her. I mean, I know what I was looking for.
I know.
And I was
It's
there,
just
I was
funny.
there at like 1:30. So I
The
don't
other
know.
guy was the same, the
Yeah,
one
that
at
was
444 Ponce.
Yeah.
Trying the microphone again. It's not on. Trying the microphone again.
Green space. I met a man, I went to the Everglades Foundation luncheon at the Gables. And I met a man and his wife, Knight Kiplinger. And because he wrote that Kipling, his family did that Kiplinger. Yeah, anyway. So he is building a new town. He is like except I think he's at the age, he's my age, or younger. And so, because I knew through a good friend of his in college, which we didn't realize until well into the conversation, but it's called Newfield, and it's going to be in Martin County, and it's like it's going to be a third farmland. I met this couple. We spent a whole lot of time talking together, but they wanted to see the villages, and they were leaving the book. They had spent the night there. I visited some of the They had a map, and they were going to go see the villages. And all through lunch, I started to think about them not knowing where they were going, looking at the little road signs down. And I said, you be at the front door, and I'll pick you up, and I'll take you to see the villages. So I had them in my car, and we were talking. And so when we went by the Dutch South African village, I said a very well-known couple was sitting there doing a lot of planning. And he said, oh my goodness, he said, we just followed their new urbanism completely. And he said, we're losing one of their families is doing our planning. So it was just wonderful kind of
2-4.
Audio check 2, audio check 3, 4.
2-4. Can you hear it? I can't. Okay, you need to bring it. You need to bring up the volume in here so the folks out there can hear it.
Audio check 2, 3.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's coming up on my
No,
That's how I you know,
it's going to test. Mr. Maxwell, did you try your microphone again?
I'm trying my microphone again.
Speak up. Let's speak up a little bit. Help the microphone work.
I'm speaking in a normal tone.
Well,
I can yell if you want me to.
remember, you're Anglo. That's what I need I need the Cuban out of you.
Hello, hello.
Audio check 2, 3, 4.
We're getting closer.
Right, we're working on it. But actually, the output is good.
4:30.
Madam Clerk, I'm guessing, or?
Excuse me?
Madam Clerk, I'm guessing?
Audio check 2, 3, 4.
I'm just a small cog.
Okay, the audio coming out is perfect. Or just the audio?
Audio 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Audio 8.
Okay, I'm just saying that the audio coming out for the recording is perfect. And whatever they're broadcasting is also very good.
Okay.
It's just in the room itself.
Right.
That's
I
an
love
issue.
the quote that I found at that point about that George used to take Mrs. Mary out of the cafe to pick up the small. And what's funny is when I got my whole thing is from 27. They do exactly the same thing. They set groups of us. They set groups to record it. They take that schedule and a certain amount of 76 months. So it's like we're doing the exact same thing. You know what I wish they had done? I wish that somehow the historic department had some influence on voting their neighbors. There's a new firehouse down there, and it's right next to the Coca-Cola spot, right there. And so I was.
Now, Anna, you're not gonna be here for our next meeting, right? Until,
But it's
well, we'll
the
miss
new
you.
firehouse is wedged in between
It's really cold coffee. Did you warm it up?
and Coca Plum.
Oh, the Keurig of the coffee.
Coca Plum Women's Club.
Dunkin' was probably from this morning.
And here is this very angular, everything, but everybody hates.
Microphone test, 1, 2. Microphone test, 1, 2, 3. Microphone test, 1, 2.
Yeah. Audio check 2, 3, 4. Audio check 5, 6. Bring it up a little bit more. 7, 8, 9. Yeah. and bring- Audio check 3, 4.
Microphone check, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Test,
Microphone
testing,
check.
testing.
Mr. Max,
Test 1, 4.
1,
Got
2,
it.
3.
Okay.
is this me?
Yeah?
That's you right there.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's take our seats and call the meeting to order.
Recording in progress.
Apologize for the delay. Technology. You know, I still think pin bar drafting is just state of the art. Oh, yeah, that thing. Got it. Okay. Good afternoon. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the City of Coral Gables Historic Preservation Board. We are residents of Coral Gables and charged with the preservation and protection of historic or architecturally worthy buildings, structures, sites, neighborhoods, and artifacts which impart a distinctive historical heritage of the city. The board is comprised of 9 members, 7 of whom are appointed by the commission, 1 by the city manager, and the 9th members selected by the board and confirmed by the commission. 5 members of the board constitute a quorum, and 5 affirmative votes are necessary for the adoption of any motion. Any person who acts as a lobbyist pursuant to the City of Coral Gables Ordinance 2006-11 must register with the city clerk prior to engaging in lobbying activities or presentations before the city staff, boards, committees, and/or the city commission. A copy of the ordinance is available in the office of the city clerk. Failure to register and provide proof of registration shall prohibit your ability to present to the Historic Preservation Board on applications under consideration this afternoon. Lobbyist is defined as an individual, corporation, partnership, or other legal entity employed or retained, whether paid or not, by a principal who seeks to encourage the approval, disapproval, adoption, repeal, passage, defeat, or modification of any ordinance, resolution, action, or decision of any city commissioner. B, an action, decision, recommendation of the city manager, any city board or committee, including but not limited to quasi-judicial advisory board, trust, authority, or council, or any action, decision, or recommendation of city personnel during the time period of the entire decision-making process on the action, decision, or recommendation which foreseeably will be heard or reviewed by the city commission or a city board or committee, including but not limited to quasi-judicial advisory board, trust authority, or council. Presentations made to this board are subject to the city's false claim ordinance, chapter 39 of the City of Coral Gables City Code. I now officially call the, hang on, where am I here? March the 10th. I now officially call the City of Coral Gables Historic Preservation Board meeting of April 10th to order. The time is 4:40. Present today are, on my left, Mr. Alejandro Silva, Mrs. Peggy Rolando, and Marlon Ebert. On my right are Cesar Garcia Pan, Donna Spain, Ms. Ana Alvarez, and Mr. Javier Durano. The next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the meeting held on March 13th. Are there any changes or corrections?
We did receive some corrections from Mr. Garcia Ponce, and those were made to the minutes. There was an error where it said that Mr. Durana had abstained from the designation, but it was actually for the ad valorem, so that was corrected, and also that Ms. Alvarez had abstained from the designation, which was accurate only because she was not present for the hearing of the report.
Okay. Are there any other changes or corrections? Hearing none, motion to approve the minutes, please.
I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, motion, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Got it. Okay, let's get this done here. Notice regarding ex parte communications. Please be advised that this board is a quasi-judicial board, and the items on the agenda are, excuse me, quasi-judicial in nature, which requires board members to disclose all ex parte communications. An ex parte communication is defined as any contact, communication, conversation, correspondence, memorandum, or other verbal or written communication that takes place outside a public hearing between a member of the public and a member of the quasi-judicial board regarding matters to be heard by the quasi-judicial board. If anyone has made any contact with a board member when the issue comes before the board, the member must state on the record the existence of the ex parte communication, the party who originated the communication, and whether the communication will affect the board member's ability to impartially consider the evidence to be presented regarding the matter. Deferrals. Are there any deferrals?
Yes, there is a deferral, case file COA SP 2025-007 for 3920 Durango Street will be deferred to the next meeting in May.
So noted. Okay. If any persons in the audience will be testifying today, please rise to be sworn in. In other words, all those people that will be making any presentations. So if either one of you wish to speak, please rise and so state. Thank you. Anybody on Zoom?
Elizabeth, will you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Thank you.
Okay, we're all sworn in at this time. Okay, we're going to go to the first case file here, which 258842 is, oh, I'm sorry, we're on the wrong one. Case, case file LDH 2025-001, consideration of the local historic designation of the property at 320 Romano Avenue, legally described as lots 12, 13, and 14, Block 8, Coral Gables, Coconut Grove, Section Part 1, according to the plat. Plat Book 14, page 25, Records Miami-Dade. Is there anyone with any ex parte communication on the board with this item? Okay, hearing none. Staff?
Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me? This is Elizabeth B. Ewan, Historic Preservation Coordinator. The following presentation is a brief summary of the Historic Designation Report prepared by
You
staff.
could unmute Elizabeth.
Yeah, she's not muted right now.
You know, being hearing impaired, I can still understand her because I can read lips.
Does lip reading count?
For the record, if we could just have Elizabeth Gwynn, if you could just confirm that the presentation that's about to play is a summary of the report provided by city staff with a nod of your head.
Yes,
On
ma'am.
the screen, yes, thank you. And this is it's sworn testimony from staff, so we can proceed with the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
The property at 320 Romano Avenue is before you for consideration for designation. As a local historic landmark. The designation application was submitted.
Elizabeth is speaking, but we cannot hear her. CGTV, we need your help with Elizabeth's audio. Okay. Are we though? It's not one of the biggies. Yeah. It's an avenue. Yeah, she wants to share east and west. Third block in Douglas. Yeah.
Well, if you all read the
Property at 320 Romano Avenue is before you for consideration for designation as a local historic landmark. The designation application was submitted by the owner. As per Article 8, Section 8-103 of the Coral Gables Zoning Code, criteria for designation, a local historic landmark must have significant character, interest, or value as part of the historical, cultural, archaeological, aesthetic, or architectural heritage of the city, state, or nation. For designation, a property must meet one of the criteria outlined in the code. 320 Romano Avenue is eligible as a local historic landmark based on 3 criteria. Historical cultural significance, criteria 4. It exemplifies the historical, cultural, political, economic, or social trends of the community. Architectural significance. Criteria 1. It portrays the environment and era of history characterized by one or more distinctive architectural style. In criteria 2, it embodies those distinguishing characteristics of an architectural style or period or method of construction. .320 Romano Avenue is in the Coral Gables Coconut Grove section, south of the San Sebastian, between Salcedo Street and Ponce de Leon Boulevard. It sits on an interior 75-foot by 100-foot lot. The property contains a single-family residence and a detached single-car garage. Constructed in 1925, both have had no additions and have retained their original massing style and character for the past 100 years. Coral Gables was originally conceived as a Miami suburb and attracted investors from across the nation during the South Florida real estate boom of the 1920s. Founder George Merrick drew from the Garden City and City Beautiful movements of the 19th and early 20th century to create his vision for a fully conceived Mediterranean-inspired city. Coral Gables is recognized as one of the first modern planned communities in the United States. Coral Gables' developmental history is divided into three major historical periods. The construction of the home at 320 Romano Avenue occurred during this initial phase, simultaneous to the incorporation of the city, and it is representative of Merrick's vision. Nationally acclaimed landscape architect Frank Button drew for the first comprehensive maps of Coral Gables in 1921 and 22, one of which is on the left of this slide. Throughout the early 1920s, Merrick continued to reinvest earnings in public amenities and land acquisition. By late 1924, he had acquired large amounts of land to the north and the east and was expanding to the south, as seen here in the 1925 map on the right. 320 Romano Avenue was constructed in the newly acquired Coconut Grove section, whose location is pointed out in the bottom corner of the 1925 map. The unbridled Florida land boom, with its influx of new residents and winter visitors, resulted in a dire housing shortage in South Florida by the mid-1920s. As Coral Gables grew exponentially, so did its workforce, and the construction of homes in Coral Gables could not keep pace. This, coupled with the acute housing shortage in the region, presented a challenge, which by 1925, Merrick tried to meet head-on. In planning Coral Gables, Merrick was particularly dedicated to the Garden City precept of building a socially mixed community where people of various socioeconomic levels could live side by side as part of a whole. In 1925, Merrick determinedly sought to address the housing shortage and provide working-class families with well-constructed, aesthetically pleasing options. He started by providing temporary housing for his employees in the form of the tent city, as seen in the photo in the upper right. He then went on to solicit 10 apartment buildings in the Douglas section to provide housing for 128 families. He commissioned the San Sebastian Apartment Hotel to provide apartments for his employees. Merrick also wanted to provide the option of single-family homes. He platted the Coconut Grove section just south of the San Sebastian site with smaller lots, as seen here on the right, for residences affordable to working families. The home at 320 Romano Avenue, whose location is shown here by the red arrow, was amongst the homes built in accordance with Merrick's vision. Merrick and his team felt that Mediterranean architecture harmonized with South Florida's climate and lifestyle. The architecture constructed during the initial period of development combined elements commonly used in Spanish, Moorish, and Italian architecture. It has come to be known as the Mediterranean Revival style. During the 1920s, structures and amenities in Coral Gables were built almost exclusively in this style. The home at 320 Romano Avenue exemplifies the Mediterranean ideals championed by Merrick. It was designed by H. George Fink, a member of Merrick's original design team, who was, in large part, responsible for how the Mediterranean Revival style evolved in Coral Gables. The home at 320 Romano Avenue has numerous character-defining features of the style, notably the varied roofs with barrel tile and parapets, the textured stucco cladding, the squat entry tower, the belfry-inspired chimney, the arched front porch bay, wing walls, grouped round vents, and the applied decorative features of the rondelle, door surround, and raised molding. The single-family residence is constructed of masonry units over a crawl space and is clad with textured stucco finish. The one-story home is rectangular in plan, with approximately 1,530 square feet of living space. Architect H. George Fink designed this in Mediterranean Revival style, with 2 bedrooms, a rear sleeping porch, a small screened back porch, and a screened front entry porch that ran the full length of the street facade. The screen porches are now all enclosed for living space. The primary living space is under a flat roof with simple parapets. The street-facing pitched roofs of the original front porch are clad in 2-piece barrel tile. The fenestration of the home varies in size and configuration. Centered above most openings are decoratively arranged round vents. The windows are recessed with projecting sills and were originally casement in type. The current single-hung windows were installed in 2008. Some of the window openings were slightly reduced in size at an unknown date. However, the original sizes are obvious as the sills remained extant and the stucco textures are different, and the infills attempted to retain the original recess. Hence, the original overall fenestration pattern of the home is retained. The symmetrical front facade is comprised of a protruding bay. At the center rises a squat 1.5-story rectangular entry tower with a pyramidal roof. Flanking the entry tower are 1-story bays under matching shed roofs, each with a large front-facing and side-facing, shallow, segmental arched openings. Wing walls extend from the front quarters, giving the small home a larger street presence. The wing walls of differing design flare out in a buttress-like manner. The ornamentation of the front facade is restrained and focuses attention on the entry tower. A raised string course molding wraps around the tower at the height of the parapet coping behind it. Above the molding are a line of 3 decoratively arranged round vents centered on each tower face. Below the molding on the front facade is an applied masonry rondelle. The front entry arch is framed by a simple, smooth-faced surround. Originally, the front bay was a full-length screened porch. The circa 1940 historic photo shows the spindle railing and the spindle post ensembles found in each of the arched openings, as well as the unique screen and spindle entry door. Historic photos indicate that by 1980, the spindle features were removed and the porch enclosed. By 2008, the height of the arched openings was reduced, but the projecting sills are retained, so the original size is still easily discerned. As seen in this 1926 historic photo, the home was built with the vehicular arch feature. As documented in the 1940 historic photo, this feature did not last long. It may have been damaged in the fierce September 1926 hurricane, or by one of the 2 substantial hurricanes that occurred in 1930. When the feature was removed, a portion was left in place and repurposed as another buttress-inspired wing wall. One of the hallmark features of the home is the distinctive bell tower-inspired chimney that rises along the west facade of the home. The gently narrowing protruding chimney stack, with its rectangular opening and barrel tile cap, are reminiscent of a Spanish mission belfry. Like the entry tower, the chimney is capped by a pyramidal roof. The 1926 historic photo shows that originally this feature also had a protruding molding wrapping around the stack just below the openings. The east and west side facades maintain the original fenestration openings with their associated protruding sills and decorative round vents above. The parapet height steps down slightly at approximately the center of the facade. The recessed bay at the southwest corner of the home was originally a small screened back porch. Windows on the rear facade in this area were enclosed post-2008. Their locations are evident due to the difference between the infill and the original stucco textures. At the southeast corner of the home was the original screened sleeping porch. A 1937 rental ad mentions the sleeping porch, but by 1957 the home is advertised as a 3-bedroom home, which may indicate the enclosing of this porch occurred pre-1957. As you can see here in the photo at the top, the large screened openings on both the rear and the east side facade were slightly reduced to accommodate windows. The recessed projecting sills were retained, and hence the size of the original opening is evident. Centered along the rear property line is the original detached garage. The one-story structure, like the house, has a flat roof with parapets. The textured stucco cladding matches that of the home. A screen porch is currently attached to the east facade of the garage. In the Coconut Grove section, there were very few homes built after 1928 until the early 1940s. The blue boxes mark the sites of the pre-1935 single-family homes. Most of these were permitted prior to the September 1926 hurricane. This image, coupled with the 1938 aerial photograph, provides a sense of how quickly Merrick developed the Coconut Grove section. Most of these homes were built over the 18-month period prior to the hurricane. It should be noted that when the construction of single-family homes resumed in Coral Gables after the Depression era, there was a distinct departure from the ornamented and picturesque Mediterranean revival style that had dominated the city's landscape since its inception. The newer homes embrace contemporary modern styles. The home at 320 Romano Avenue is one of the remaining single-family residences built during the 1920s per Merrick's vision. Hence, the property at 320 Romano Avenue exemplifies the historical, cultural, political, economic, and social trends of the initial developmental history of the community. In conclusion, constructed in 1925, the single-family home at 320 Romano Avenue has retained its historic integrity and context for 100 years, and it significantly contributes to the historic fabric of the city of Coral Gables. It was one of the earliest homes built in the city, and it stands as a testament to founder George Merrick's vision for Coral Gables. Designed in the Mediterranean Revival style by architect H. George Fink, a member of Merrick's original design team, it exemplifies the early development of the history and the Mediterranean-inspired archetype upon which Coral Gables was founded. It also represents Merrick's use of the Garden City precepts and his dedication to providing affordable, high-quality, and aesthetically pleasing housing. This home was one of a series of moderately affordable homes built in the Coconut Grove section. Merrick platted this section in March 1925 with the intention of it being an area in which his employees and other working families could build their homes. 320 Romano Avenue was one of the first of these homes. The property at 320 Romano Avenue is part of a collection of quality buildings that serves as a visible reminder of the history and the cultural heritage of the city, and staff recommends approval of the local historic designation of the property at 320 Romano Avenue based on its historical, cultural, and architectural significance.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak in favor of this at this time or make a presentation? Okay, any questions of staff? Hearing none? Okay. We'll then close. Anybody on Zoom? Aha, there you are.
Hi. I don't think anyone's on Zoom. The owner might be on Zoom, we're not sure. But I just wanted to say, as this property is celebrating its centennial, this was brought to us by the owner, just to ask for the designation. And so we want to thank them for bringing it forward to us, to bring to you.
Yes, thank you, owner, for bringing this property forward. It's beautiful. Okay, if there's nobody else, we'll close the public portion of the hearing. And any discussion? Hearing none, I'd like to move for a motion, please, for acceptance. Mr. Silva?
Sure. I believe that this complies completely with the requirements for designation. Before I make my motion, I just have a quick question for staff. I noticed that the original permit drawings were mirrored. Do we know when it got flipped before it got built, but do we know why or how or no?
It's actually not uncommon. That's happened multiple times before, that we just find that before they started construction, they just decided to do it the other way.
Okay. So I will then make a motion. Bear with me 1 second. Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve the local historic designation of the property at 320 Romano Avenue based on its historical, cultural, and architectural significance as listed in the staff report. Specifically, historical, cultural significance criterion 4 and architectural significance criteria 1 and 2.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Durana. I'm good today. Ms. Rolando. Okay. Call the roll, please.
Ms. Alvarez?
Yes.
Mr. Durana?
Yes.
Mr. Garcia Pons?
Yes.
Ms. Spain?
This is a great house. Yes.
Ms. Ebert? Okay,
Yes. I'm sorry.
Ms. Rolando?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mr. Maxwell?
Yes. Motion passes unanimously, 9-0. Okay, next item, please. Case file COA SP 2025-007, application, I'm sorry, that's deferred. Here we go. Case file COA SP 2025-008, application for the issuance of a special certificate of appropriateness for the property at 1234 Country Club Prado, legally described as Lot 17, 18, 19, Block 77, Coral Gables, Granada section, Plat Book 8, page 113, Miami-Dade. Application requests design approval for additions and alterations to the residence and site work.
Thank you.
Are there any deferrals, ladies and gentlemen? I know. Any ex parte communications? None, okay.
I interviewed for this project, but I didn't, but I remain unbiased. It was a few years ago. I'm not involved in the project now.
Can you go to the next? So the single-family residence has a noteworthy example of the colonial revival style that honors the past with new interpretations using modern materials. Designed by architect William Shanklin Jr. in 1936, it was one of the earliest residences in this style in the city. It was designated as a local historic landmark in August of 2021. This is a 1940s photo showing you the property. You can't see the garage, but it is tucked off to the right of this of the main residence. The application requests design approval for 1- and 2-story additions to the rear of the residence and attached garage and alterations to residence. A later addition at the northwest corner of the home will be removed to accommodate the 1-story addition, and site work is also proposed. There are no variances that were associated with this application. It was reviewed by the Board of Architects multiple times and was approved ultimately on December 14th, 2023. Staff has a couple of conditions that we'd like incorporated into the motion. The applicant is aware of them and actually provided us corrected drawings already. In an effort not to confuse you, we're going to go with with what was presented to you, and we will work with them to incorporate our comments into their final set of drawings. So I'm going to turn it over to the architects.
Thank you.
No, you need to tell them about the project.
Okay.
Just like, kind of like your whole.
So they haven't seen it.
They have seen it. They have these set of drawings, and so all
Got
of
it.
your stuff is
Perfect.
up here. So if you want to, she'll scroll through as you want them to, and then
Perfect, thank you.
just describe it.
Okay, okay. Hello, everyone. How are you?
Well,
Can you hear
please
me all right?
Please introduce yourself with your name and your address.
Carlos Hernandez. I am the president of Nandes Design Studio, which is the architects in charge of the project. Well, first of all, thank you for being here and for trying to help us with this. We have been trying to get this project approved for quite a while, since 2021, I believe, which we started working on the project. 2022, we actually submitted it, and since then, we've gone through every single department you can think of. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, the board, everything. Somehow, we are here today, and we never went through you guys. So I don't know what happened, but we're here to fix it. The project basically is a historic home, like you all know. We're not touching the historic home at all. What we're trying to do is just create more area for the family, and we're creating 2 wings towards the back. It's a corner lot. So one wing of the house is going to go around the corner on the other street, and the other wing is going to be there you go. So what you see on the bottom is the east-facing house, which is the existing house. And then the right-hand side, top right and top left, are the 2 wings that we're creating to increase the area of the home. The right-hand side, part of it was existing, so we're keeping that also. It's a garage that was originally from the house from 1936. And then we're building or proposing extra area behind that. And then the top left, it's a whole new wing that it's connected through a hyphen. And basically the design is just keeping the original intention of the original design. However, we're not trying to mimic or replicate the original finishes in any way. I mean, it's not something that we're trying to do. We did originally in an effort to kind of like make it look more original, call it that. But I think that's something that we have to avoid based on the comments that we got from you guys. The top left of the house is 2 stories, just like the original house. So that's it. There you go. Yeah.
Let me know where you would like me to be in the plans.
I'm sorry?
If you'd like to let me know where you'd want to be in the plans.
Yeah, just the first level, I guess, so we can go through the ground level. One more. There you go. So the top left is the new wing that I was talking about. That's going to be the new kitchen and family room. And then behind that, on top, is the garage that we're proposing. Proper size garage for modern vehicles. 2-car garage. The garage is 1 story, and then the kitchen and the family room is 2 stories. And you will see on the next floor plan, before we go to the next one, on the top right, you can see the guest bedroom and what we're building behind the original garage, which is also just trying to create a little more area on that lot. On the next, as you can see, as you can see on the bottom, the original house, we're not changing anything. All the hatch area is the original house from 1936, and is completely remaining the same, interior and exterior. So the second level, if you don't mind. On the second level, we're only building on top of the new kitchen and family room, and it's also going to be connected through that hyphen, that little corridor right there. That's going to connect the original structure and the new structure. And that's going to be the master suite with a master bathroom and master closet. The other volumes that we're proposing are 1-story, and they go along with the height and size of the existing garage of the house. 1-story and pitch roofs. So this is a roof plan, nothing to go. Again, the front of the house towards Country Club Prado is remaining the same. We're not changing anything on the facade, windows, doors, finish. That's the one the one on top. It's untouched. And then the one on the bottom is the existing. The one on the bottom is the existing rear facade right now. Can you, next please? So this is also existing. I think there's much to see there. Okay, this is what we're proposing. It might be easier to see in the renderings, but just to go through this a little bit, the top you can't see much because it's the original facade. You can see a little bit of the west wing on the top left, right behind the original facade. And then on the bottom elevation, you can see the two structures that we're proposing that are actually on the rear of the property. Next, please. Okay, so on the bottom, it's probably the best view of the proposed area, which is going to be the two-car garage. Right there. Two-car garage, and then right next to it, to the right, is the proposed kitchen and family room, and then on top, the master suite. As you can see, we're trying to, we have the same lines of the house, same pitch roof. We kind of carry the whole original style of the house in trying to, in an effort to kind of like preserve that look. Originally, we thought, and based on our board presentations, we thought that was the way to go. So that's basically why we went that way. We're under the impression now that you actually want the opposite, or that's what you're recommending or requesting. So we have no issue, and I guess we're going to go through that in a little bit. We have no issue changing the new area of the house to not look as part of the original house, but as an addition. Next, please. This is just more elevations. I'm not sure if I need sections. Yeah, I guess so. That's probably the easiest way to show everyone. First page? It's on the first page. Thank you. Is there any way that you can zoom in there? Because I'm not sure you have the... It's going to be hard to see in those, but... Oh, there you go. Thank you. So the one on the left, there you go. So the one on the left is the original house. That's exactly what it looks like right now. It's got a trim line cutting right through the middle. It's got like those original shutters on the windows, a beautiful door, and the bay windows on the bottom. The garage on the right-hand side, the garage structure, originally from 1936. It's going to remain untouched. If something, we're going to paint it, same color for now, and we are painting the entire house same color, so it looks the same. The one on the right, you can see right where the cursor is. You can see that a little like attachment to the original house where the chimney is. The chimney and that little attachment, they're original from the original house in 1936, and they're in the original plans. And then that area back there is a new area that we're proposing. As you can see, it's very close to the original house. Again, in an effort to make it look as close as possible and not be an eyesore. And then that on the right with the new driveway, that's the view from the other street. It's a corner lot, so that's the other street. Two-car garage, also somehow mimicking the garage doors on the other original garage, and 1 story as opposed to 2, which is a volume next to it, the massing next to it. The next one is the rear side, where we are proposing a pool on the back. There is a pool right now, quite old. I'm not sure I'm pretty sure that's not original, but who knows when that was built. Kidney shape, very poor condition and very close to the house. We're proposing a pool towards the back, and pavers around the pool. That volume on the right-hand side is the kitchen, family room, and then master suite on top. And then the volume more to the right of that is the garage, the proposed garage, new garage. The volume on the left is the other wing of the addition, which is a guest room, and that falls right behind the original garage from 36. Is there? You're gonna have to guide me through the process here because I'm not sure.
If that completes your presentation, then we'll have the board
Yeah, if
ask
I
any
may,
questions.
if I may, all we're trying to do here is create more area for the family. Like I said, originally we thought, keeping or maintaining the look of the house, meaning wall textures, windows and shutters and everything the same on the new area was going to be a requirement. So that's why we went that way. We presented to the board originally. Everything was approved, and all our plans reflect that. Now, I know that after you guys checked our package, there are some recommendations and some requirements, which we are, we're good with that. It's not a problem. If you want to go through those, okay. So we're good with those. There's no issue. All we want is to be able to get approval.
Thank you for your presentation.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay. Staff have any comments in reply?
Do you mind? I have a couple of questions actually regarding the recommendations. Should I do? I mean, unless there's space later for questions. But
No, he's
it's
already
part of the
said that they
presentation.
accept the recommendations.
You just said you accepted them. Are you changing that statement?
You're talking about conditions also, not recommendations. These are
I'm
conditions
sorry,
that you.
conditions. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
Because you have to do them.
There's, yeah, exactly.
Right.
No, that's fine. I have a couple of questions, and it's basically regarding, some of them are kind of contradiction with code, and we need to, we have no
Which
problem.
ones are you talking about?
I'm sorry?
Which one is against the
For example,
code?
the one with the casement windows, there is, I'll tell you which one. There is one of them that it's.
Could you refer to them by number, please?
Yes.
On pages
3.
6 and 7?
Work with the stuff, change proposed windows. Yeah. Number 3 is asking for just keep the double casement windows as opposed to single hung, which is what the house has right now. And that's what we included in the original board package. It was approved and everything. But now, we have no problem with this. The problem is technically you cannot do
You mean
double
means,
casement
are you talking about
window.
means of egress?
Yeah.
Okay, then you make that window look like a double casement, but it all opens up. So
Perfect.
that shouldn't be an issue.
No, it's not an issue. I mean, the look is going to be the same. It's just going to be
Right.
one single casement. Is there any
And
other?
now it'll be worked out with staff once you go through the permit process. So we'll work with you on any of those egress requirements for those rooms.
Okay, so like I said, we have no problem with any of these. It's just technicalities that we can, okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to note to you guys that this was a process that was started back when Warren Adams was still here. So they've been at this for a while and are now actually in permitting, and we were not flagged as a reviewer until almost the very end. So this is coming to you all as a cleanup for that process with their
But they don't
presentation.
have a permit, right?
No, not yet, but they are very close.
Wow, poor guys. What a horrible thing to have happen.
Okay, well, we'll deal with that secondarily. Are there any questions for staff or the applicant by the board?
I have one question. I think item number 8, is that a typo? Because it says the new house is not to be restuccoed. Shouldn't that be the existing?
Then, well, yes, and then, yes,
Okay.
Yep.
Just so they're clear, so that.
yes. Thank
So
you.
we correct the scrivener's error
Yes,
in number
thank you very
7
much.
to not to the,
So you understand that, like, the original house, don't mess with the stucco there.
right.
Sorry, the existing house, don't, like, leave the stucco as is. Yeah. And then the new house will obviously have new stucco.
All right. Mr. Silva?
I just have a quick question. The drawings graphically show the new addition is going to have a stone cladding, but the notes say it's going to be stucco. I'm assuming it's going to be stucco?
Yeah, so that was one of there were a couple notes on the drawings that were cross-referencing each other that were kind of messed up. So that's one of them, and the intent is not to match what's on the house. I don't know if you've had the chance to look at the designation report, but the actual texture of the lower, below the string course of the house is actually a concrete block in lots of different, no, it's not scored, but it's concrete block of different sizes and shapes to look like stone. So we do not want to match that. It's a very unique texture.
So just to clarify, the new addition will be smooth stucco. Thank you. Are there any other questions of the staff or the applicant by the board? Ms.
So-
Alvarez?
I'm okay with the massing, the placement, the composition in general. So I think that's that's helpful in the sense, since you already have a permit set. But if you have a permit set, it would have been helpful to see some of the detailing, because from the renderings, you get a sense that it's lacking detail in the eave and, certain things that would be important to a house like this. So my question is for staff, if you've had a chance to see some of the detailing.
Did I review the permit drawings? Well, I mean, I looked at them, but I didn't go delve deeply into it because we hadn't reviewed it yet. But I can make sure that they are there. And this house does, the existing house has a really interesting eave condition. So how that's matched on the addition, how the string course is being carried over is going to be important too. So we will look at all those things.
I agree with all the staff comments.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments by the board? Mr. Garcia-Ponce?
So I have a comment, not really a question for staff. It's a comment for the board members, but it's relating to the massing of the project. Ms. Alvarez just said that I think she's okay with the massing of it. I understand the intent and the layout. What seems a little bit problematic to me is the scale of the addition in relation to the existing house. And if, Anna, you could pull up the renderings again. I think the first page, the second and fourth rendering. There's something about, it almost seems as if you repeated the house again, right? And it's almost like you got the existing house and then you made a copy of it and put it 10 feet away. The massing is incredibly similar. And it looks like if it was just doubled over. It feels a bit crowding to me of the existing historic house. The third image, which is the one that shows the addition and the garage, almost seems like a house in itself. The difficulty, I think, is, I think the fourth image shows it pretty well, but that's more internal. I think the second image is important, and it might have to do, I believe, with the orientation of the gable on the addition. And I will ask a question so you get a chance to answer it. Is if it were facing in the same direction as the garage, it would be clear that the addition was of one mind and then the existing house was of another. I think you can probably work out the detail with that really nice little connection piece that you have, but to me, there's the massing and scale of the addition is too similar and too close to the existing. So my question to you, if you can come up, would be is what alternatives or what are some reasons why you chose to go that route?
Actually, the original design we proposed. Oh, sorry. Actually, the original design that we proposed to the board back in 2022.
Board of Architects.
Yeah, sorry, Board of Architects, was with the roof the other way. And we were forced to switch orientation of it and mimic the other house. That was part of the recommendations. If you know, but yes, it was the other way.
Thank you. So as far as the design is concerned, you would be okay if it was oriented in either direction. I know you're in permit drawings now, and you have what you have.
I think they're done with permit drawings except
Everything has
You're
been-
in for permit now.
Yeah, well, absolutely everything is approved right now. The only thing that was flagged was historical.
Yeah, again.
So, board has been approved, structural, everything, everything building department.
Thank you for the answer.
No problem.
So it's still, I appreciate the comment, and I still think I think it's too close to the existing, and I don't think it is complementary to the existing home. I think it is crowding of the existing home, and I think it is specifically because of the orientation of that gable roof.
I see that.
Mr. Silva?
Yeah, I mean, I see your point, Caesar. I get that it feels a little crowded. But at the same time, if you're looking at it as kind of a street elevation, if you're rotating that volume, then you're kind of replicating the street elevation on both streets, whereas now it's a little bit different. I don't know, to me, that makes a difference, I guess. And I mean, I get that, and I think we also have to sort of recognize where we are in the process, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's.
Anna, can you pull up sheet 204?
I know that our responsibility is to look at this clean, right? As if in a vacuum. And even looking at it like that, I think my personal opinion is that I would approve this no matter where we were in the process, I think. But we're not in a vacuum, and through no fault of their own, right? We're in this position now where we're kind of getting a last crack at it when it's all approved. So it's unfortunate, and I do think we should look at this on its merits. But on its merits, I think that this is an acceptable design.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Ms. Rolando?
I don't have amplification.
You have to turn it on.
Hello?
You just turned it
Turn it
off.
off again.
Hello? Okay.
Please move it closer to you.
I can get, I don't disagree with Cesar, but I can get past the concern because they're not identical facades. Also, I think we have to be somewhat sympathetic to the applicant here because what you're suggesting would involve a pretty significant change, plus going through, I think, the Board of Architects again. So I'm, I don't object to what is here, and I will vote to approve it.
Thank you, Ms. Rolando. Anyone else?
I would suggest the
Alvarez?
garage doors be handled differently so that the pattern reflects the segmented arch. Right now, it looks like there's a rectangular door sliding behind the segmented arch openings.
No, that makes sense.
Yes, please.
So the two garage doors that we have right now are very similar to the original garage door that we had on the other street. In one of the, not recommendations, conditions, one of the conditions was to change the brickwork on the arch, which we're doing. It's not a problem, but I'm not sure I understand your point. Like you're saying like the pattern of the door, the actual door.
Yes.
Okay, so is that something that we should just consider changing? Is that the?
You could do that in shop drawing review or in,
We can do it as a shop drawing.
What are you suggesting?
So
you'd have to work with a manufacturer that would mimic that arch. 'Cause right now, it looks like a rectangular door that's sliding behind the arch opening.
Probably because that's what it is.
Right.
So you're not asking them to do an arch door. You want the pattern on the door to be an arch to match the arch.
Right.
Do you understand? So it's the regular rectangle. It's just the way the panels are laid out so that it's an arch to match. So when it's closed,
Yeah, if
it
you
looks
look
like
at
a complete-
kind of where the cursor is, so you see how you have like kind of a line tucked in here because it's a rectangular pattern? She's just mentioning that the pattern should also have an arch.
like the door.
So it's a
the
spec.
door will do this.
Something when you pick out the actual garage door should also have that arch.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like it'll do something, you know. But
As a point, does that need to be made as a condition of the, okay. So make sure you write that down, please, so that we can be a condition in terms of the motion. Mr. Garcia Pons.
A question for staff. Ms. Rolando mentioned that it may have to go back to the Board of Architects if there's a change, let's say, for example, of switching the gable over. Is that something that has to happen or no? My understanding is it
So if you all
doesn't.
make it a condition of your approval, the Board of Architects will respect that. It doesn't require it. But it was already, I haven't seen the design that was rejected. So I don't know if they've already said no to that.
Have
but
we ever
you
done that
all
before?
You all have power over their
Right,
recommendations.
okay, so we can make a condition and they can make a recommendation, but they can't overrule our condition. Okay.
You have the,
But I think, if I may, I think your question, Caesar, was, do they have to go back? Right?
No.
Physically, they don't get reviewed again
no.
by BOA, no matter what changes.
No, unless.
Do they get reviewed again by the
So what will
building
happen is
department?
that if there's a major change like that, all of the disciplines are gonna have to re-review. So because it's a structural change, there may be other mechanical window, I don't know what's gonna happen when they flip that, or how
So
they
if
flip it.
you-
So
if
then
you
all the
did a
disciplines that
quarter
I've already
turn-
approved will restart again.
They have to go through the building.
It'll
they
be
unfortunately have to go
substantial.
through the process again for review. And it could be quick, but we don't know. Thank you.
Okay, speaking as someone who worked for the city for close to 25 years, it's not going to be quick.
So The project was never brought to the historic department at all, even the design process? and-
Back when Warren was here, it was started with Warren.
Yeah, they worked with Warren through the BOA process and had been part of the reviews with you all working on these conditions and everything. What happened was that because there was a delay of when they applied for permitting, they submitted for the permit kind of skipping the COA process. And so when we got flagged by, I can't even remember how it ended up happening.
They're on the 9th review.
They
We're
were
on the
already on
9th
their
review.
9th cycle of reviews. And our comment was, you need HPB approval and a special certificate of appropriateness.
That must have gone over well.
Yeah, so they've been very patient with us to bring them to the meeting, to bring them before you all today. And, but they were working with Warren on this and back and forth. And they went to a BOA multiple times too. It wasn't just a simple BOA meeting. I think they were rejected the first time and then went back after that.
A few times, no? A few times.
Yeah, just because of the fact that it was historical, they were very picky about, like, for us, keeping the essence of the house the same. So we were rejected at least four times.
Yeah, but I think what the conditions that staff is listing for the massing, we're trying to make those changes so that there's subtle changes that are gonna differentiate it from the original to kind of help, I think maybe not, we're not changing massing it with our conditions, but to kind of tone down that addition so that it feels like that, there's a differentiation between the original and the new.
Okay, are there any other questions to staff or the applicant? If not, I want to close the public hearing. I don't believe there's anybody on Zoom, is there? And did we receive any comments, from our public notice?
I do not see anyone on Zoom that would like to speak, and we did not receive any comments in it.
Okay, all right, so we have nothing on Zoom, so the public hearing is closed, and we're back to board discussion. Is there
I'd
any?
like to make a motion.
Ms. Spain, you may make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve with the condition note, the 15 conditions noted in the staff report, the design proposal for the addition and alterations to the residence and site work at the property located at 1234 Country Club Prado. And add a condition, which is about the garage doors, looking as if the segmented of it are also curved to match the arch, which would be a much prettier look. And approve the issuance of a special certificate of appropriateness with the conditions.
We have a motion on the table. I'd like to hear a second, please.
Second.
We have a second from Ms. Rolando. Okay, are there any further discussion? If not, please move the motion.
Ms. Alvarez?
Yes.
Mr. Durana?
Yes.
Mr. Garcia Pons?
Unfortunately, no, for the reasons stated earlier.
Ms. Everett?
Yes.
Ms. Rolando?
Yes.
Ms. Spain?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mr. Maxwell?
Yes, it is 8-1. The motion passes and carries. Thank you very much for coming.
It's actually 7-1 because we're missing a person, so there's only 8 people here.
Oh, who are we missing? Oh, okay, 7, okay. Anyway, 7-1.
We're counting Cesar twice.
I got that. We're moving. Let's let her get there. Okay, old business. Other than me.
I'm sorry?
I said old business.
Oh. We do not have old business, but if you want to go down, I guess the city lights is kind of old business / city commission items. So if you want to give an update, or do you want me to kind of summarize? How do you feel about it, Mr. Maxwell?
Let's deal with the discussion item last, and so you can go to the city commission item.
Thank you.
So we did get a request from Mr. Garcia Ponce to include just a discussion item on the House bill that is undergoing now in legislation for Tallahassee. This is for the unlawful demolition of historic
Anna,
buildings.
could you speak a little louder into the
Yes, is that better?
much?
Yes.
Thank you.
So there is legislation right now being reviewed for the unlawful demolition of historic buildings. I did speak with our government affairs manager who monitors all of that, and we are monitoring the legislation and in support of it. So this will allow the city to increase fines for illegal demolitions of historic buildings, which works for us, you know.
Does it
Well,
include
hopefully there's no illegal demolitions
Does it
first.
include demolition by neglect? Okay.
So Anna, thank you for bringing it. Thank you for reviewing it as well. When I read it, I read that as well, but it just seemed like there was a second part that may not be favorable, and I wasn't exactly clear if it was good for the city of Coral Gables, which is why I asked for you guys to take a look at it, because I'm not sure if we should support it or support it with a recommendation or something.
So was there a particular question? So there's two versions. The Senate bill is the one that's in messages, I believe is the term of art, that's being passed to the House. And I'm just reading the Senate version here. It's for the demolition of a building or structure that is individually listed in the National Register or as a contributing resource to a National Register listed district. Code Enforcement Board or Special Magistrate may impose a fine that exceeds the limits of this subsection, which is a code enforcement subsection, if they find, based on substantial competent evidence, that the demolition was knowing and willful, and the fine may not exceed 20% of the fair market value of the property before demolition. So that's my understanding of the version that's in messages over to the House from the Senate. I don't know if you had a particular question about that.
It was specifically that. Is 20% the right number? Is it limiting? I don't know if 20% is good or bad.
So generally, code enforcement fines are capped at $10,000 for a one-time fine, or there may be running fines that exceed that. But so I think it would depend on the situation and the value of the home. But I would. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Oh, sorry.
In the discussion that I had with Fernando, our government affairs manager, he mentioned that it gives us actual more power to give bigger fines than what's allowed now.
But is this only for those properties that are on the National Register?
The way that it's worded, yes.
Yes.
So wouldn't we object to that? I mean, if you're on the National Register, usually it means it's not protected from demolition. I don't understand this.
So this would allow us to increase fines for illegal demolitions of any property on the National Register. Pretty much.
It's not a very broad applicability in the city. It's rather narrow.
I get that,
Yeah.
but has the National Trust for Historic Preservation weighed in? Are they okay with this? Because if you're only on the national listing and you're not locally designated, in the past, you could demolish it. You don't need the owner's consent, and it's possible to actually demolish it. It's a local ordinance that has a strength in preservation, so I'm not sure what this does.
I believe that, yeah, that has to do for demolition that's not permitted or a result of natural disaster. So to the extent you got a permit and it was not protected, you are free to do that. So this is so non-permitted illegal demolition that was done willfully.
Oh.
Yeah, so it doesn't prohibit.
Very narrow for the city of Coral
Yeah.
Gables.
Wow. That doesn't really affect.
No, it's not a broad applicability in the city, but to the extent that we have a property on the National Register that illegally demolishes a portion of the property, we could, in theory, increase fines for that demolition. Not we, the Code Enforcement Board.
So I do have a question, and sorry, my question relates to Caesar's concern, right? So the penalty, right? Like it talks about a max. So what it says specifically is a fine may not exceed 20%. So City of Coral Gables has an additional component in their own zoning code, right? Which says that you have the right to require replication if something is demolished illegally or by neglect or whatever. So
What does this do?
what does this do to that? I know it doesn't
Right.
address that
That's
expressly,
what
but
Cecil
somebody
was
could say, let's take the Biltmore as an example, right? That's on the National Register. They did what they did on that lower lobby. The city has required them to restore that to the original or replicate what was original. They could take a look at this and say, I'll pay my fine and thank you very much. I'm out of here.
And what about McFarland? That should help us that's on the National Register.
Yeah, so two things. It's demolition of a building or structure. So I don't know, we'd have to look at the definitions to see whether that covers interior renovations, right? We would have to look at that. And then secondly, I wouldn't think that this supplants any part of the zoning code that has to do with demolition by neglect or reconstruction or certificates of appropriateness.
That it would?
It would not. I mean, this has to do with a fine amount enforced by Code Enforcement Board. So code enforcement is outlined in state law, code enforcement procedures, and there are max amounts of daily fines and max amount of per violation fines, which is actually 5,000, and it can, and in some cases, be 10,000. But this would increase a code enforcement or special magistrate. So we have our code ticket hearings or our code enforcement board's ability to impose a larger fine for willful demolition of a building or structure that is individually listed or contributing within a national district, which is the one national district. So I wouldn't think it would change to the extent that we have properties that still need to go through the COA process, whether they were demolished by neglect or otherwise. They would still come through our normal process.
Would certainly help those communities that have people on the, I'm so sorry, that have people on the, have properties on the National Register that are not locally designated. I mean, that would be very helpful.
Yeah. I'm trying to look up the area of the state where this came from, and it looks like it came from Flagler, Putnam, and St. Johns County. So I don't know if that gives you a feel for what reasons it may have been introduced in the Senate by Senator Leek.
So the reason for bringing were the two reasons. One is 20% good or bad for us. I know it's narrowly targeted for the National Register. I would imagine our nationally registered buildings are also locally registered, so we should be okay.
Right.
The thought process was, would we like to advocate to add local designation to this? Is that something that we can ask? Would we be interested as a city to get the benefit for locally designated? Thus, perhaps ask our government affairs person to ask if the area would, the person who, the senator, if they'd be interested in adding it or not. And then I think it would affect us significantly, and I don't know if it would affect us for the good or for the bad. It sounds like it would be for the good. Thank you.
If this board wanted to make a motion to make that suggestion to the government affairs coordinator and
Mr.
the city
Garcia
lobbying
Pons, would you?
team, we could certainly pass along that message. I would note that we don't have a commission meeting before the end of session, so it wouldn't be an official commission direction, but we could certainly provide that feedback to the intergovernmental affairs
I would like
coordinator.
to say so moved, but I don't have it in front of me. What would, to add?
So I understood the motion to be a suggestion that the city lobbying team, internal and external, explore the feasibility of increasing those amounts and/or adding local designation to the proposed bill.
That's exactly right. That's my motion.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Ms. Spain, seconds. I'd like to call the roll, please.
Ms. Alvarez?
Yes.
Mr. Durana?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Rolando? Yes. Okay, Ms. Everett?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Garcia Pons?
Yes.
Spain?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mr. Maxwell?
Yes, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, we have another item. I wanted to bring everybody up to date here on our slow-moving streetlights. They're moving. We had a wonderful meeting, and I'm going to categorize it that way, with Florida Power and Light. And, can you hear me? Thank you. I said we had a very good meeting with Florida Power and Light, and for the, Ms. Pernis was there, and Mr. Sleznick and myself, and the city attorney, the city manager, and the city architect. and a whole plethora of people from FP&L. The meeting kind of went like this. Here's where we are. This is what you signed. This is where we are. This is what you signed. And that went on for about an hour and 20 minutes. And the comment was, okay, great, that's where we are, but that's not where we want to be. What are we going to do? How are you going to help? How are we going to help ourselves together get there? And it was a very cooperative meeting, by the way. I want you all to know that. Everybody wanted to solve the problem. So here's where we are. They will take our consideration at this point for the street lamp that we would like, and we're going to do that, and we're counting up the number of street lights that we would like to have. And their other condition is, in order to add it to the tariff, okay, and this is a big conversation that we don't really need to have, FP&L charges by tariffs, okay? All these tariffs are set by the Public Service Commission, and so, it's a rate process. So this is not instantaneous. The other is they want to know who else in the state is interested in this. So we're going to suggest, because we've already talked, I've already communicated with 2 other groups on the West Coast, okay? They're redeveloping their downtown. So we're going to suggest and reach out to other DDAs and redevelopment agencies, because those are the groups that are generally going to take decorative poles and use them, okay? So we're going to get with staff, the manager, and everybody, and try to find a pole that they will like that matches what we have. So it's not guaranteed, it's not a reality, but it's moving, and it's moving in a positive direction. So, Marlon.
What are the areas on the West Coast?
They're over in the Coral Springs area, where they're trying to redevelop the downtowns after the hurricanes and things to make them a little more special, okay? But other DDAs and things like that are looking for decorative features that they don't have to pay for themselves, that they can put in their rate base. And what's happened is FP&L has taken out virtually all decorative poles and said, hey, here's the pole that you get, okay? So we're trying to encourage them to add it back. The Public Service, so they have to go back to the Public Service Commission, but they also want to make it economical for themselves. So we're trying to help them do that.
What about towns like
Miami Shores,
Winter Park? Yeah, Miami Shores. It goes on and on. I just heard about a new town being built in Martin County called Newfield, Florida. They're just starting.
Miami Shores had different streetlights. They were actually made by they're metal, and they were made by the Cement Post Company in 1925, because I had them in front of my house when I lived in the Shores. But other communities are looking for things that will maintain their historic. And, one of the most prominent type of streetlights at the time that we were all developed was exactly what we have. So let's just keep pushing.
All these communities that were developed in the 20s and 30s that it seem like natural purchasers of replacement lights that are at least compatible with the architecture in the city.
It's a process, and I'm grateful to the City Commission for taking this on and actually stopping all the work that's been going on in what I'm going to call the historic core of the city. In other words, north of Bird Road up to Southwest 8th Street and from Red to Douglas. We're trying to get that as our district where we'll do this, and we'll add a couple of little fingers periodically to like the villages down in the south, and maybe Granada all the way to Sunset. I'm not sure. But, that's what we're going to talk about. But the whole idea is that if we can get this into the rate base, then we can move forward pretty quickly in terms of, okay, we have existing contracts, we can change these things out. So look for another 2 years before we see anything. Mr. Silva.
First, thank you very much, Mr. Maxwell, for taking the lead on this. I know that you've been pushing and pushing and pushing and gone to the commission and it's important to all of us, and I appreciate it very much.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Silva. Our community is worth the effort,
Yeah.
like we do today.
And I did have a quick question, though. I know that some of this was driven by these existing contracts that the city has for forced replacement that are, per the last presentation from Public Works, were coming due very soon. Did they agree to sort of postpone that forced replacement until we get this resolved?
Those have been postponed since that first resolution that you all passed.
Everybody's okay with that?
And the city commission actually is the one that had them put the pause on any future, further installation. So that's where that pause still stands.
And
right
FPL
now.
agreed to that
Yeah, no,
pause too?
they have to.
Everybody-
They
yeah.
can't.
Yeah, they have to.
They still need us to agree with the.
Thank you.
We learned a lot more about streetlights than I ever knew before, and I knew a lot about them because I put in a lot of streetlights all over the country. But it's an interesting process, and Florida has really changed, how it the Public Service Commission interacts with people. They're really reducing, shall we say, the ability of the general community to ask something of one of the power providers and actually have it granted. Basically, they told us that their hands are now tied, which they did themselves, I'm sure. But
Mr. Maxwell, you mentioned to have perhaps staff reach out to other municipalities. Is that something that is happening or something that we should request of staff?
we should request that of them.
Would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I would like to have a motion for that, please.
Can we make a motion for city staff to reach out to municipalities within the state of Florida that may be interested in adopting a similar street light to the ones that we are pursuing?
Yeah, I would, okay. And DDAs and those things.
Local governmental entities.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Local governmental agencies.
Local governmental entities of interest. That's kind of what we've got.
Can
on
we
this.
make suggestions?
Yeah, is that a motion?
That was my motion.
That was a motion. I need a second. Mr. Silva? I have a second from Mr. Silva. I have a, so call
Mr.
the
Chair, we
question,
could just
please.
have a voice vote if all are in favor.
Aye.
Voice vote good?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved unanimously.
And just so before that occurs, we need to find the light post that will meet the criteria. So that will take a little bit of time, just so you all know that, like, not at the next meeting, you're going to hear that,
No, we won't.
a list of municipalities that Kara has reached out to and Elizabeth that have said, let's buy these lights together.
Yes, and
please
please
be
note that
patient
Mr.
with us.
Selesnik, please note that Mr. Selesnik and I very much wish to be in, with the staff in that process.
Okay.
I have all the material from the past to bring to it, so we can find that. And if there's any people that can find a Coral Gables, and it's actually called Coral Gables Light, that we have. So progress is moving. Contrary to what Mr. Farber said in the Coral Gables magazine.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, we're going to have one more thing here. I want the board to know that this is Anna's last meeting before she brings us a new person into the world. And so I'd like to just let everybody know that and send her our best wishes and hoping for a not too speedy return so that she can be with her child. So thank you, Anna, for everything. And Kara's going to be taking her place. So, it's going to be seamless. We really appreciate it. And Anna, we wish you all the best and all the happiness of a new child. Thank you.
All right, thank you so
One more
much.
thing.
Ms.
Yeah, and I just have one more thing too, actually.
We all have.
Just for the May meeting, we wanted to get kind of your sense of moving it up to the May 15th week, just because we got caught on that short gap this month between meetings. We only had 3 to 4 weeks, and the same thing's going to happen between May and June, and staff is going to be we're going to be short-staffed. So we're just going to see with the city clerk, but I wanted to kind of put it in your ear to see if it's something that would work with your schedules if we do get the opportunity to change it for May 15th.
Everybody okay?
May 15th?
I don't have a problem with that.
Everybody okay down here? Javier, you good? Anna?
I only want to say that my younger son is expecting his first child, and the due date is the 20th of May, so
Oh, so
if
might
it
work in
happens
your-
a week earlier, I may not be here.
Well, then you wouldn't be here for that. Well, maybe not for
Well,
that.
I don't know when the baby's going to come. I mean, he was early.
I get it.
So,
I understand.
and
Okay.
I also just have one comment. Is it possible to get the IT department in here earlier and have them
Yeah.
test it?
We will make that request.
Because there's no
because-
reason that should happen if they're actually,
Or can we just go back to
well, that's even better, going back to
City
City
Hall?
Hall.
I don't make that call for the city hall part, but we will talk to IT and CGTV and make sure that we are all coordinated, but
Get in here. I know they're busy. but,
yes.
you know,
But
make-
no, but this meeting was scheduled and should have been taken care of at 3 o'clock, not testing it at 4:30.
Yeah,
I
Marlon?
agree.
Yeah,
Marlon.
rock bands are familiar with sound checks. And as somebody's office who was, we're right across from Ultra, they did sound checking for a couple of days. Yeah, whether you wanted to or not. I have a question.
Hey, Ms. Ebert's,
Oh, go ahead, Mark.
okay, so-
No, I just had one question about there's lots of discussion about the rain huts on the golf course. Does that come to us at all, or?
So it will come to you all. This board was reviewed the original design proposals for the rain huts and actually recommended approval for those designs and the demolition of the existing rain huts, or what are they called? They're not shelters, thank you. I was like, that sounds wrong. And so we're working now with Parks, Public Works, and everyone else because there's a new design proposal that will come before you all when that.
While ago.
Yes.
I think I was still.
Years ago, yeah, you actually worked on the designs and loved the designs from what I heard, but.
Yeah,
I don't
Peggy?
remember the design, but it sounds like something I
But it
might
will
have
be
missed.
something that comes before you all, and the demolition, the discussion, I think part of the demolition of the ones that are there now is that they were not original to the golf course.
I have a question about a historic home that we approved work on located at 524 Alhambra. And I seem to recall that we approved it, but when I drive by it, it looks like they've demolished the entire house
They have.
except for
The walls.
the perimeter walls, the roof, the interiors, everything. And I don't think we approved that scope of demolition. So I'm just asking, I'm raising it.
I believe it's 522 Alhambra. Thank
Oh,
you, Kara.
okay.
Yes, and I actually went back and forth with the contractors and the owners because when we did see that, but also it was in the plans, and before it got permitted, I went back and forth with them. I rewatched the video. They did discuss that they were going to be replacing the roof structure at that time in the video, and so it was part of the meeting.
Okay.
So we went back and there was a substantial, I think it looks very intense. I agree. We all drove past it and went like this. I think at the last meeting, actually, when I left is when we kind of saw how substantial it was. So we just need to be clear. And I think that's kind of why you're seeing a lot more of like, you are not replacing stucco on the house. Roof structure must remain because sometimes they'll sneak it in or they think it's part of a regular permit. And they don't realize that we want it to be discussed a little bit more so at the hearings than just, oh, and we're replacing the roof and the structural members. And it just kind of being part of the presentation.
So it was reflected in the
It was
plans?
reflected in the video. I did have to rewatch it, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have a question. And one of the things that comes up is overruling the Board of Architects. And I'm really interested in knowing why we can't move our preservation review before the Board of Architects reviews theirs.
I don't think you would want that.
No, because they recommend to us. You want it to go to all of those really good you have to have 10 years as an
Yeah,
architect.
no, I know the whole deal.
And so
but-
it's important that they see it first.
Okay.
Because like this one went multiple times to the Board of Architects until they were comfortable with it. And that happens not often, but, you know.
Yeah, there's a
enough
lot of
so
times that we rely and work with the board members to kind of help reiterate some of our concerns.
Right.
And if they know, because we provide comments to the board before it gets to them.
Oh, okay.
So they're required to get something called like an okay for BOA
Right.
from historic before it even gets scheduled. So
So
if
it
we
goes to
have
the
concerns in that, I'll say okay for BOA, but we think that these things should be addressed. BOA members will then say, okay, well, how are you going to address these? And they'll kind of either support us or say, well, I don't think that one's, sometimes they don't always agree with us. But I find it to be the right order of operations.
Okay. Yeah,
And since
I'm
19
just looking for a way to see if we can't streamline some things somewhat, because there's a lot of time involved, and that costs everybody a lot of money and grief and apprehension and things like that. Okay, so we're waiting for the very last thing. I'd like to have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Silva, seconded by all the rest of us. Motion carried. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Recording stopped.